There's some video maybe, right? Right. Listen, now it's a video. And then let's record when you're ready. Right. Let's get it. Okay, so if somebody could just periodically check to make sure it's recording, that would be great, because I'd like to have an important part in this meeting. Okay. All right. It is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. We're having a special meeting at the Black Canyon City Community Library. It was posted at the office, in the post office, on the website, and it was posted on 2 Facebook sites as well. We're going to begin with roll call of the board members, and then we have one attendee. I'm Elaine. I'm the board chair.
Sean Collins, member at large.
Melina Raylick, treasurer.
And then we have our office staff.
Julie Owens.
You forgot the secretary here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Tom
Strezak, secretary.
Okay. Now the office staff.
Julie Owens. Alicia Michaels.
And then we have on the other line, Devin
Weiss, legal counsel.
Okay, and then we have an attendee.
Mark Gardengi.
And he's the only public attendee. So we are going to shift up the agenda a little bit because Devin only has an hour. So we're going to cover those things that Devin needs to discuss with us. And then we are going to let Julie do a quick blurb on the billing issues because she is sick and we need to get her out of here. So, Devin, what would you like to start with?
Actually, Madam Chair, my 2 p.m. Rescheduled, so we can proceed however you'd like.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, so you have more than an hour.
Yep, I'm available as long as you need me.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm going to start on meter reading and billing progress so that Julie can make her statement and leave. But I want to preface what I'm going to say with this. It's important to know that we send out 12 bills per month. Is that correct, Julie?
For you, yes.
And from March to April, from December to April, you'd have December, January, February, March, April, 5 months of bills.
Correct.
But they've received how many? 4?
4, they haven't received April yet.
So, if you have 4 bills, you have the correct number of bills. You're not going to receive less than 12 or more than 12. You are only going to receive 12. The billing issue resulted in more than 1 bill going out at the same time, but they each had different due dates. We have not charged any penalties or late fees. We have not done any of that on any of the bills. We did send out a late payment notice, and somehow when people get that pink card in the mail, they freak out. It was simply saying there's a late payment. It was not a disconnect notice because we have not disconnected anyone throughout this billing issue. So don't freak out with the pink card. We know that some people don't realize that the 3 bills that came in consecutive order covered December, January, and February. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I want to comment on the Facebook statements where I have read that we're overbilling. We're making things up. How did this all go so wrong? There's a lot of chatter on Facebook, and what I'm going to say to those people is making posts on Facebook is not going to answer any of your questions. Coming to a meeting to see what's really going on, going to the district website, looking at meeting minutes and things that are posted there, coming to the office and having a conversation. We are more than happy to answer everyone's questions. And I'm going to put a caveat to that. We kindly ask that if any staff is out in public, whether it's at Kid Chalene's or Two Brothers or the VFW, that people not go approach staff to ask them about their bill. People should only be discussing their bills with water staff during office hours at the office or on the phone. But interrupting what they're doing in public is not acceptable. You can say whatever you want to say on Facebook. That's fine. That's where people go to say whatever they want. But when you're in the office, we expect that people are going to be considerate, that they are not going to yell at the office staff, that they are not going to blame them for all of this is going on. And I have to emphasize that this situation is not a result of what this board has done. This situation has been ongoing for a number of years, and for those who want to take the time to look back at the meeting minutes, it's documented from the previous board, and maybe back further, that they did not realize they hired someone who was not doing the meter reads. So this is not new. What's happened is we pulled the Band-Aid off. And this is a symptom of a much bigger problem. And while we appreciate the financial constraints and financial concerns people have about getting these bills consecutively, we're more than happy to work with you. And it's just a symptom of a bigger problem. And while we are going to continue addressing these issues, we are now going to focus. Our primary focus is going to be on getting the district in order, because this isn't just a result of meters not being read for a long period of time. It's a result of the need for new meters, which we're working on, and we have 100 to install. It's a matter of things not being maintained in working order the way they need to be. People want to go to the faucet, turn on the water, and have water appear, and that's their primary concern, along with their bill. And we understand that, but there's a much bigger picture people need to consider as well, because running a water district and all of the things that go into it, from the pumps to the equipment, electrical panels, chemicals, it's more complicated than people realize. And so we would appreciate your looking at the bigger picture and being understanding as we try to bring these things, get things in better working order. So Julie, would you please explain, so you can go, what the situation is on bills and the meter reading?
Well, right now, like I've been telling everybody, back in December, we found problems, so we decided to stop billing just in order to try to figure out what was going on. So in that time period, we did not send out a bill in January for December. We sent December's out in February. So that meant when you paid in February, you paid December's bill. Then in March, in order to get back on track with our billing, I had to send out January's at the first part of the month. 2 weeks later, I sent out February's, and then at the end of March, I sent out March's on time, like it should be. There's no late fees. We're not penalizing anybody, because it was basically on our side trying to get things taken care of. We're doing the best we can, and we would appreciate if people would please be a little nicer when you come in.
I agree. And thank you for coming. I know you don't feel well, but I wanted people to hear it from you, and especially if more people were going to be joining from the public. And the other thing, when we read meters in December and we entered those meter reads, meters hadn't been read in so long that we had, can you recall? What do you think? How many bills did we have in the thousands and thousands of dollars?
We had a good 50 of them over $1,000 and like $100,000.
It was higher. There were a number of bills. And instead of saying, you know what, we're just going to go in and we're going to make some adjustments and we're just going to send out these bills, even if they're not correct, because we don't want to irritate people. We didn't. We involved professionals to help guide us through. We had our Enhance, our billing software systems analyst. How many accounts do you think you went through one by one with Jimmy to?
About 100 of them.
So that many accounts, one at a time, to make sure that things were corrected appropriately. We had a third-party billing system who are experts in this, and they sorted all of the data and sent us, 6 pages of spreadsheets with recommendations, and we have followed all of those. We got the attorney abreast of what we were doing. We did everything possible. Everything we did was documented. We did everything we could to ensure that when we did send out bills, they were as accurate as they could be. And then people say, well, so how long have we been overbilled or underbilled? And what can we do about that? Well, the theory is people were underbilled because when we entered the meter readings, we had far too many bills in the thousands of dollars to indicate anything less than underbilling. And people say they want to file complaints with all of these state or federal agencies, whomever. And I say, if that's what you feel like you need to do, go ahead. Everything we did was legit and documented. Alicia, would you like to make any comments on the billing, what you've been experiencing?
I with Julia today, I spent a bit of time on the phone this morning. I talked to you about that. And there's a lot of people that are really stressed out about the bills and the ones that are past due. And I was happy to reassure them that we'll work with them, we'll get it figured out. And those ones that are struggling even more so, making a deal with $5-10 a month, just get that back stuff taken care of and move forward and not be stressed out, because we all know stress can kill you. So
I agree. And then the owner users. We did get the bills out. There were issues that required us to suspend the billing, but by no means are we going to make it burdensome on owner users with limited income or unemployed or whatever the case may be to pay the bills. We will work with you, happily work with you. And so that's all we can say. And people can say what they want on Facebook, but hopefully they'll listen to this meeting and understand more. Go home. I hope you feel better.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
thank you, Julie.
Keep an eye on your arm.
I will.
Update on the NRWA revolving. Oh wait, Julie. I'm sorry. Do you know we have 2 audits in process? Is that correct?
For what?
Audits with the auditor. Okay, I'll call them.
Thank you.
Okay, I grabbed the water.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah, I'm
sure.
That's just Tuesday. So,
the NRWA revolving loan. We need to submit.
is it number orders?
Kevin, would you please explain what it is we need to submit to Jamie Rush with Yavapai County?
Yes, cool.
I appreciate it.
We reached out to the county regarding our legal opinion, which is part of the application. The county indicated that there were at least one of the annual financial reviews that had not been submitted yet. I think, I haven't been involved in those audits, but my understanding is there may be 2 of those ongoing, and Elaine, I think that's what you were just mentioning, but they are the annual financial review that's required for DWIDs of your size.
So I'm going to call the auditor and see where we are on the audits, so that we can get that submitted.
Wow.
And the sooner that gets done, the sooner we can apply for that revolving loan to purchase new meters. Update on where to find the monthly bookkeepers report. Again, on Facebook, I'm seeing posts about the district has a credit card. It's not a credit card, it's a debit card. And what I want to remind people of is the office managers. In their contracts, they were responsible for purchasing the stamps and office supplies and a number of other things. And we no longer have an office manager. We have 2 office staff, and they don't make enough money to pay out of pocket the $500 for mailing out bills or the $3 for money order or purchasing office supplies. So the debit card is used to purchase those items and to pay for postage, etc. And I want to encourage people to go to the website, BCCWID.com, and look at the bookkeeper's report, because every penny the district spends is on that report. Every warrant, which is a check, is on that report. Every deposit, every transfer, every debit card transaction. So you can rest assured that nobody is using the district debit card to go to Cliff Castle or do any other illegitimate, inappropriate things with the district's money. Update on WIFO reallocation of funds. I did speak with Linda Todd. Maggie. I did speak with Morgan Burgess. There we go. And I have the template on Thursday. Tyler with KP Ventures will be walking the well site, so he can give us a quote on what it's going to cost to replace the well meters. At that time, I can complete that WIFA reallocation of funds request and get that submitted, and hopefully we'll be able to get that approved and start putting on the meters for the wells. Update on the office phone system. So when we changed offices, we got a phone system with a main base and 2 extensions. And that was so that if Julie was on the phone, someone at another desk could answer the phone. What we did not realize is that calls come in and messages get rolled over to the stationary phones that we thought were just extensions. So we now check every phone for messages, and so we apologize that we did miss calls. We understand why now, and that has been corrected, and we will read the instructions on the phone thoroughly to see if we can make it a little simpler. New business under 4A. Discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of Tom Strizak's resignation from the board. Tom submitted his resignation. I don't have the exact date. He can tell us. And he requested that it be accepted immediately and that he was resigning due to health issues. And we want to thank Tom for not only the work that he's done on the board, but the work that it took to get this board in place. Tom, would you like to say something?
Yes. If you don't mind, I'd like to read my resignation letter.
Okay.
Thank you. So, dear board members of Black Canyon City Water Improvement District, please accept this letter as notice of my immediate resignation as Secretary of the BCCWID Board of Directors. Due to health issues and for personal reasons, I'm no longer able to effectively serve as a board member. I greatly value the experience and honor of serving the BCCWID community with you. I believe we accomplished some very good things. I wish you all success as you follow your vision and goals for improving our domestic water improvement district. There are some very good people in this community, and I'm confident that in time they will step up to serve on this board. Sincerely, Thomas J. Strezak, March 30th, 2026.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for those words of encouragement. Thank you for the support. We appreciate all that you did even before you were appointed to the board and the time that you spent on the board. And we too hope that others will step up and get involved. We wish you nothing but the best and hope that your health improves and that you stay in touch and stay involved to the degree that you can.
Thank you. Also, I'd just like to add that I was not notified of this meeting.
And I apologize for that. That was on me. I honestly didn't think about it because you had resigned. And so that was my error, if you will. But it worked out, and thanks for calling to ask to participate.
Okay, thank you. And in light of my year and a quarter service on the board, I'd like to continue listening to the meeting on the phone.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe we'll just get a special board phone or something. So I'd like to entertain a motion to sadly accept Tom's resignation as board secretary.
I'll make that motion.
A second?
A second.
Any discussion?
No, but thank you for your service, and I'll be seeing you around the neighborhood.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Tom. And we will make sure to notify Yavapai County that you have resigned, and so they can make those changes, as well as
D&O insurance.
Office. Pardon?
Right. Remove me from D&O insurance. I'll get with you on everything that needs to be taken care of, and I will also return all the district property at my soonest convenience.
Well, if you need somebody to pick it up, let me know, and we can arrange to have someone stop by.
Okay. Thank you.
Because I know it's kind of hard for you to get out.
Yes. Thanks.
Okay, well, just let me know, and maybe Sean could stop by and pick up whatever
Yeah.
you need. And
That would be great. Yes, I'd appreciate that.
No problem. It's kind of carrying the printer and stuff out could be a little much.
Yes.
You do it about, but
Did you want to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting?
yep.
Tom?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to go on to B. Oh, actually, no. B should have been deleted. The office is going to start taking the minutes and transcribing them. Alicia's working on it today. I'm recording it. We need another phone so we can use plot at the same time. So we need more phones. So we can move on to C. And Devin, this is for you. Discussion and possible action regarding the tax lien foreclosure, possible redemption.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, as some of the board may be aware, back in 2008, the district recorded a lien against a property in Black Canyon City. The claim of lien was for about $2,300 for unpaid user fees. Nothing was done and no action was taken on that lien. Bringing us to present, or a couple of months ago now, the district received a summons and complaint where it was named as a defendant in a tax lien foreclosure lawsuit. The district was named as a defendant because it also has an interest in the property. Per the board chair's direction, we got into contact with this opposing counsel by the name of Russell Dirksen. We discussed district's options were, and I will run through them now. And so option one is to do what's called redeem. So you pay the property taxes and you pay the attorney's fees incurred by the tax lien certificate holder, and then you become the senior lien holder, and then you can pursue your own foreclosure action. Option two is do nothing, in which case the lien that the district has will essentially just die as a junior lien that will get wiped out. So those are the two options that we're facing in the district. We had MAC prepare a calculation for that figure. I recall it was originally $2,300. Now it's about $14,000. So quite a bit of money. So we compared that to the cost of redemption. And so the total taxes that are unpaid are about $7,500, I believe, plus another $2,000 in attorney's fees is our guess, based on comments from Russell. And so our estimate is it's going to be around $10,000 to redeem. And from there, obviously, there's the district's own sort of foreclosure action. But that's sort of the process at a high level. And if you guys have any specific questions?
Yes, if the district pays $10,000 to become the senior lien holder, and the amount of the lien is how much that they would owe the district? $23,000 or 14?
Well, so the lien itself is $14,000.
$14,000. So,
but that wouldn't be paid to the district. You would redeem. You would initiate your own foreclosure action. If somebody else bid, let's say they paid 50% of the fair market value of the property, you would get paid out of the proceeds of that sale.
and
If the district were the only bidder, the district would submit a credit bid, and for the amount that's lien, it would then become technically the owner of the property, but you would then turn around and sell the property and collect the amount of the lien at that time.
okay, so the attorney's fees, the $10,000 would be recovered in that.
So our position, based on a reading of the statute, is that all costs are included in the amount of the lien, and that includes costs incurred in enforcement of the lien. And so our position would be that, yes, the full redemption amount, whatever ends up getting paid to the plaintiff in this tax lien foreclosure, would be recovered. Separately from that, any attorney's fees that the district incurs in enforcing the lien would also be included. And that's in addition to filing fees, that's in addition to interest per statute. So it's a fairly broad allowance for the district.
So what is the potential, how much money could the district potentially gain from this lien?
Well, I guess the highest level view of it would be $14,000 roughly right now, plus whatever the district pays to redeem. Let's say it's $10,000, so about $24,000. Obviously, if there's legal fees built into that the district has paid, the district isn't, it's being reimbursed. It's not, gaining money. So it's hard to give you sort of the net figure, but in terms of the gross amount, it would be, in that range.
So we would only collect $14,000.
No, we would. The claim we would assert is for the redemption amount plus the lien, plus additional interest as we move forward with enforcement, plus attorney's fees incurred in removing the action, is the total balance.
So there's no dollar amount that you can put on what we would benefit as far as.
Well, the dollar amount right now is the $24,000.
Okay.
And that's again an estimate, but it's about per Natalie's calculation, I think it's $14,400 is the current lien balance. And then again, from Russell, our estimate is about $10,000 for the cost of the redemption. So you would add those two together to get the.
But we're not. If we're paying $10,000, we're not making $10,000. You got to take that out of the total that we would get. If we invest 10 and we're owed 14, that's 24,000, but we're only profiting 14,000. 14th. We're not at profiting 24.
Yes, that was my point about the gross versus net. So I'm giving you the gross number.
Next question.
Yes.
So, but once we become if we became the primary lien holder, they only sell it in March, and that would be selling it, whether it be buying it next year. That's when I think what Madam's asking about is the profit you could potentially have. We'd have to know about the actual parcel itself, because you don't know what you can make unless you know what you have.
Well,
Are there other liens besides our lien on this property?
So we were the only named defendant in addition to the property owner, so our understanding is no.
Okay.
There's no one else. And then in terms of timing, I'm not aware of any limitation that you can only do this once per year. They do these tax liens sort of on a rolling basis. Well, again, at that point, we wouldn't be foreclosing on a tax lien. You'd be foreclosing on the district's lien.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a different process, but.
So what I know about it, because I'd buy liens and deeds, is in March every year in Arizona, it has to be purchased like that. Now, there are some that have been backing up that you buy over the counter, but this obviously looks like a property that someone has water to, so those get scooped up pretty quickly. So that's what I'm trying to make the distinction of. If this is someone's house, so how long has it been on there? Yeah. 2008, that sounds kind of crazy. That someone has to kind of scoop it up.
It's been there forever. It's been there since 2008. The tax lien, obviously, it sounds like you have some familiarity. So, this was purchased 3 years ago at least. You have to wait that 3-year period until you can actually foreclose on the tax lien.
Right.
And so that's where we're at now. Okay. But again, I guess my point was, when the district is foreclosing, it's not foreclosing a tax lien. It's foreclosing its user fee lien. And so the process is a little different.
I see what you're saying.
And again, the property value actually doesn't matter for our purposes here.
Okay.
So if the property is sold for $100,000 and the district's claim is for $25,000, you don't get to keep the full $100,000. You get your $25,000, and then the proceeds, the surplus, go to the property owner.
Got it.
And that would be the same way if the house was worth $1 million, then if your lien was $25,000, same thing. $975 goes to the property owner. You get your $25,000.
Right.
So would we be required to pay the $10,000 or whatever to assume the lien?
Yes.
No, when?
As soon as we made that agreement and decision. So if the board wanted to proceed in that direction, today, we would communicate, to Russell and say, the district is interested in redemption and sort of begin that process and see what he needs from us.
How long could it take for this to be completed?
I think months is fair. I think, if the district approved redemption, at this meeting, I would guess it takes probably 2 weeks for that to get ironed out. And then I guess, the district at the regular meeting this month could authorize us to proceed with our own foreclosure lawsuit. There's obviously notice requirements there. I believe it's 30 days notice. So again, I see you guys at least a month and a half to foreclose, and then really I'd say it's going to be longer than that.
So you would think 6 to 8 weeks we could recoup the $10,000 that we put out?
Potentially, I think that's I think that's a more rose-colored glasses view of the timeline. I would say 8 to 10 is what you should be expecting, and then if it ends up being 6, it's a win.
Okay, so I'm going to make my comments on this. First of all, the district has a lot of repairs that need to be done. I'm putting out $10,000 right now. That $10,000 could be used on things that immediate needs, and we do have a lot of immediate needs. And then waiting to recoup that money, that would be like we were waiting for the WIF loan, and we were told it would be 8 to 10 weeks or something like that. It ended up being months. And I am not keen on putting out that much money right now to have to. It could cost us more than $14,000 that we might gain by not being able to do the improvements in the district that $10,000 could buy.
Can we kick this down the road?
Sean, what?
Can we kick it down the road? Like, is this something we could do later on, Devin?
No. So where we're at today is we are in the third 14-day extension. The first two were to give MAC the time to draft or come up with this calculation that we discussed at the beginning. Russell has been very clear that this is the last extension. And so you have, 14 days from Friday to decide. But, again, since there's going to be no board meeting, it's in that period, I think it makes sense to decide now one way or the other.
Alicia, you have a comment?
Has anyone put their eyes on this property? Have they seen it? Do they know which one it is?
I haven't. I don't.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But in today's market, it may take a while for it to sell. But Devin, is that administrative? Do administrative fees calculate into that money back?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the statute indicates is all costs in connection with enforcement.
So potentially it could be more than what you've already quoted, dependent upon the...
100%. Because again, if we're involved, we'll have our attorney's fees. If you then engage a broker to sell the property, in the case where you submit a credit bid and no one else did, our position would be all of that goes into the lien. But again, I think this goes back to the gross versus net discussion. A lot of that is reimbursement,
Yeah, well, for instance, if I went over there and looked at it, I would take my hourly rate and I would have to add that to whatever, correct?
Well, you're saying if you as an employee spend time on it,
right?
Do your fees included?
Right.
Your hourly rate?
Yes.
Again, I think that's consistent with our sort of the broad brush we're painting there. I think your status as an employee would be the one thing I would want to look at there. But again, the statute is broad, so I would say potentially.
Yeah, well, I would consider that part of the administrative fees, wouldn't you?
So, I mean, in subsection H, I'll just read it to you guys. It's the district shall, meaning you must, add all costs incurred by the district, including interest, attorney's fees, and costs in filing and enforcing the lien to the unpaid user fees. And the costs are a liability of the property owner payable from the proceeds of the sale. So, again, I mean, I think that's about as broad as it can get, really. So, at the very least, there's an argument that any type of cost would be included.
So, any kind of cleanup or anything that has to be done on the property in order to sell it?
That place is stressed.
I think we're thinking a little bit farther down the road than that. I mean, again, this is the situation where not only do you redeem, but then you issue your own foreclosure and nobody shows up.
Which I don't see.
Sean made a good point. I'd be surprised, frankly, if nobody else bid.
Yeah.
And again, your bid will only be a credit bid, so it'll just be the amount of your lien.
Right.
And so again, if the property is worth $300,000, somebody comes in and bids $150, they're gonna prevail there.
Right. Then we just wasted my time.
Well, not wasting your time because you still get paid out of that, right?
Right. You get 60%. Right.
But you then, again, you're not hiring a broker because you're not the one selling the property. You're just hiring a cleaner because you're not selling the property.
Right.
So I'd say more likely than not that there will be another bidder, and that the district won't actually become the owner of the property. And frankly, that's easier. You're going to get paid faster that way versus if you're delayed another, to Alicia's point, months, for the property to sell. You might rather just get paid out of the actual separate third party bid.
Mark, any thoughts? Melina? Oh, did we lose? Okay. Cindy, any thoughts?
I would just like to know, what is the net? If you put out the 10,000, what's the net? What's the net gain to the district?
Devin?
I think the closest estimate to the net would be just the 14,000. I think that's the closest I can give you right now, because that's the district's actual lien. Everything else that we would add to that, for the most part, is a cost. Again, it becomes a little bit gray, because if we are adding attorney's fees to that, but we haven't been paid our attorney's fees, then at least in a temporary way of looking at it, it is part of the net, but will eventually get paid out. So I guess the closest we can get to a true profit, net profit to the district, would be that just base 14,000 number.
Okay, I agree. So we would invest 10,000 to get 14,000.
Then you don't even have
I think your initial investment is 10,000, but your investment by the time you get reimbursed may be much higher than that.
Yeah, because of interest.
Well, so both keep rising, right? So as you got into it, costs would rise as we're working on it, and to Alicia's point, interest, the underlying lien amount would rise as well. So it really is just a cost benefit analysis at the end of the day. That's all.
But if we invest the 10,000, that aside, the total that we would get would be $14,000. No,
it would be more than that because of the interest and everything else.
Okay.
So you're figuring probably $1,000 a month interest or investment back.
Okay.
For however long it's going to take on this. Is that correct? In an assumption there, Devin? So that 10,000 in, and then even if it was 14,000, it took 4 months, it would be still $1,000 a month back. Right?
Devin, is that correct?
I guess, I think in general terms, I'm not sure what you mean by back, but yeah, I guess if you average, how much you paid to wait, yes, you are, you waited 3 months to get $14,000, 14,000 divided by 3 is your number per month. That's kind of what you're saying, Alicia?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, but if you just wash the 10 because it's going to cost 10, anything above and beyond that will be whatever you get back per month, right? If you stuck it in the bank and you got interest, you get 1%. Unless it's a credit union, then it's 4%. And in this situation, what is the percentage?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yes. So, you're getting $4,000, roughly a month as interest on your 10,000. I think is kind of what you're trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Yes.
Well, I think that is what's happening. I think that's a fair way to explain what's happening. But yeah, the district gets a lump sum $14,000. However you justify how you got there and why you got there, I think is up to the board at the end of the day. I think that's an appropriate way to think about it.
So, is it worth it?
What's the interest?
That's what I asked him. Do you know what?
Well, check it out. All liens in the state, it varies. Like if someone else redeems those liens for us, we can get between 14 and 16%. If so, then that other person grabs that property, they have to pay off all the other liens, and then we get that percentage as a lien buyer. That's everywhere.
Well, I think again, we're not buying the lien. That's not what's happening here. Someone already bought the lien.
So basically,
Sorry, I keep on getting.
if we go to the casino and we throw $10,000 on the table, we're taking a risk. But in this kind of situation, you throw down $10,000 on the table, you're still going to get that money back plus, correct?
Yeah, again, I'm not sure I would even say it's a risk, really.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a risk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're throwing 10,000 on the table, but you know you're going to get,
Right.
At least the 14,000 back. And again, what I would sort of argue is, it will be reimbursements, but then the lump sum that you get will be higher than 14,000.
Right.
It's good.
That's a damn good
Board votes and does this. I want to see all of the attorney's fees on a separate statement from just the attorney's fees that we get billed.
I think that's appropriate and a good way to segregate.
I like that a lot, actually. Good point.
I don't want to see anything combined.
No, everything has to be itemized from now on. I'm making people mad at me.
You're not making me mad.
No, people who invoice this stuff.
I'm making the customers mad, and you're making them madder.
Okay, well,
That's not true.
I think we should try.
Okay. I'm hesitant. $10,000 putting that out is a lot of money.
We need money, and if this is a way we can stop making money and these come up more often, then we know of another income. Yeah.
Oh no, and I know there have been other liens that we could have filed that we just weren't aware. Okay. Any other discussion? Anyone?
A guaranteed return?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right.
So I would entertain a motion to move forward with the.
Yeah, I like to make the motion on that one.
You want to make
And Madam Chair, I would recommend throwing a sort of top number on there. Again, we're using $10,000 as the estimate. I would suggest that you build in a buffer there. So approve redemption up to a certain dollar amount.
Well, so now it's getting higher. And, I'm really nervous because right now we have a lot going on and taking what kind of a buffer are you looking at?
Well, this is just to make sure we don't have to do another meeting. That's all.
$12,000?
And then we can reconvene if.
And then we'll have to have another meeting. I'm not gonna approve more than 12,000. I'm not going to. $12,000 is the limit. If we have to have another meeting, we have to have another meeting. But right now, we need to work with a budget, and this is coming. This is an unexpected event coming out of the budget, and we've had a number of those in the last 3 or 4 months, and we need to be prudent and good stewards of the district's money.
I wish Natalie was going to ask her what she thinks.
She calculated the interest.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the tax lien foreclosure possible redemption with a max of $12,000, which can be increased by board approval at another meeting.
Okay. Somebody second that or make the motion?
Make the motion.
I make the motion.
I'll second it. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Melina? I know. It's like, so the motion passes unanimously. I need to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to leave everything running, and I'll be right back.
I've looked into buying property that way, or paying off liens on property.
Do you do this for a living?
So when I got out of the Navy, retired, the Navy sends you different little schools for your off time thing, and one of the first things I did was go to a business class on liens and deeds. It's a good way, you can literally just redeem liens on properties. People don't pay their taxes, and then you just go down there, and depending on the state, you don't pay. People make this mistake. You redeem the lien, and then or not redeem it. You buy these liens, and what that does is now that guy has to pay off his lien, but he has to pay 16% to you because you paid the state. So Now they instead of owning the state, they owe you as that person. So you took on that responsibility. It's an investment, yeah.
16%.
Now you got to make sure you put it on the right type of parcels because you'll see it. Like you go to the Yavapai County assessor's page and you'll look at you put in parcels and see what's available. And you're like, what is this? It's like a little sliver of ground between two people's properties. And I was like, I'm not paying stuff. I don't care if you have that little sliver or not. So people will pay those off and then they're stuck with a piece of property.
They actually do this on the courthouse steps.
Oh, yeah.
It is, yes.
Yeah, open it down once.
Into the whole procedure, and I saw the list of the names. This is a long time ago when I first started using a computer for libraries, just because I was curious.
Oh, yeah.
So now I've got a little more info.
The one who gets the lowest interest buyback.
If you swung by my house, seriously, I have literally up on my screens, I have like the assessors thing up here, because I'm always looking. They go fast. Go fast.
We haven't seen him at all today.
Okay, the next agenda item is D, discussion and possible action regarding extending Arizona Utility Operations Contract, possible resolution of outstanding fees. Arizona Utility Operations, their contract extension ends tomorrow. We have the option of extending them for another 2 months. Devin, is it appropriate to discuss events that have transpired over the course of it is?
Yeah, we're talking renewal. So if you have factual background that would assist the board in determining whether they should vote for a renewal, yes, now's the time.
So I would like Alicia to go over, do it again to me. Alicia has some information to share. So these are invoices that, wow, with items that we cannot account for.
I think she can have a copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is what I've come up with so far, and I'm not finished. But this is these are things that have been purchased on Black Canyon City's invoices through vendors. There are things on there that are, for instance, this first one is marked as a safety equipment. It's actually a hand pump to get water out of the meter boxes. I've never seen that one, but I haven't been to every pump. We've got sample test chlorines, or the chlorine test, which is really, that's not a bad deal, 176 for 100, but it's my knowledge that there's some problems with that reporting, and I'll let Elaine get to that. There's 6 barricades that were purchased at $100 a piece at $592. Double shot throughout wrench repair set, which was 3 wrenches in that set for almost $400, plus taxes, freight, and that was $76.38 and $73 on the taxes. The arsenic strips were $326.49. These premium face shields, they're supposedly safety PPE for chlorine, and they are not. They're just fancy shields, and I only saw 2. So I don't know where the third one's at. The eye wash stations, I saw the remnants of one left at Big John. And I don't know where the other 2 are. Those are actually supposed to be hung up by OSHA standard. You can't just lay them on something and expect somebody to find them somewhere when they can't see. So anyhow, there's $2,219.47 in things that cannot be accounted for and or should not have been purchased on Black Canyon City credit. And that's just what I found so far. I'm not done. There is a conversation I had with Aquaflow. There was some kind of a piece of equipment that was ordered and purchased on April 3rd. They just got last week. They actually got the vendor came to meet JP and pick it up. and they've ordered 2 more. I told the vendor to bring it to us directly, not to take it to JP, because they won't. They've been heard in our office by at least 3 of us now that they are not going to even read the meters because they don't agree with the billing, which is incorrect as well. So,
I went to, for all of this watching the video, because we knew that Derek's contract was, we would have to decide on whether or not to do an extension, and we had possible people that would need to come in to replace him if he refused to work, or if we decided not to extend his contract. Consequently, myself, Alicia, Mark, and Paul Jewell with Tierra Water Management, and his foreman, we wanted to tour all of the well sites so that we could take a look at what these people might be inheriting if they did come on board. And Mark, would you explain the part that that Fever Controls was instructed to take from Mayor to work on our district?
So at the Oasis site, we have a bad VFD drive that needs to go in for repair / maybe replacement. Derek authorized the company that was going to do the replacement to go or get one from another water district, being Mare, put it on our site, and take ours out and put it in for replacement or repair. I was shocked to hear that they were going to take from another water company and use parts on our company, which makes me concerned as to what might be happening the other way around. But I was not, my thoughts was that was not something that we should be doing. So I was against that initially when I heard the conversation. So I asked for an alternative, and the company supplying the VFD gave us an alternative, which Elaine is pushing through. I think it's a great idea. We can use a backup VFD, or we can use it on the second pump, a well pump over there. So,
but we will not be taking any parts from any water district to use on ours. Another event that transpired was when we took the tour. Well, actually, I asked Derek, because he claims by contract that no one can go on the site without his permission or being accompanied, which is not correct. So I asked if KP Ventures, I told him that KP Ventures needed to come out. We needed to walk all of the sites so KP could give us a price on installing meters on the wells. And Derek refused. He refused to let KP come on site, saying that replacing the meters was his job. However, I explained it was a WIFA loan. We need to stay with the same contractor, do all of the same things, since this would simply be redistributing the WIFA loan money. So then I told him that we needed to take a tour of the sites with another contractor in the event that his contract was not extended, and he agreed to have JP meet us to do that. And on the day that was scheduled for, JP arrived at the office, saw that there was a water management truck out front, contacted Derek, and Derek refused to allow us on site. He would not accompany us and denied his permission, and that if we did go onto the well sites, he was going to call ADBQ and consider it an act of terrorism, etc. So we had to get on the well sites, so I approved cutting the locks off, which the district purchased. I have the receipts for those locks. We cut off the locks and we entered the site. Derek had JP call the sheriff's department. The sheriff came out. And by the time I arrived to meet the sheriff at the second site, the sheriff was already convinced that somehow we were terrorists, and that we illegally cut off those locks because Derek said the locks were his, And I told the sheriff I have receipts. He would not listen. Devin was on the phone. He wouldn't talk to Devin. Subsequently, I was cited for criminal damage, and I have a court appearance in May. I have sent the receipts and a letter to the judge asking that the charges be dismissed. I have not heard back yet. So, and then another concerning matter is that we got a notice from ADEQ, and they have not received some sample results, and some of these results date back to, I'm reading, sorry.
3 months, there's 6 months worth of chlorine tests not done.
October, November, December, January, February, or March. They purchased chlorine test strips, they purchased arsenic
proof
test
of it.
strips, and yet, according to this report, the chlorine residual data has not been submitted. And my thought is that Jerry Postema of AGT Solutions probably informed ADEQ because that was under his watch as district manager to make sure that these things were done.
I think that's where those books went, or what was in those books that he came in and took and never came back with, was the meter readings for those pumps. I believe it.
So, I guess the question is, should we extend Derek's contract?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to not extend Derek's contract for another 2 months.
I make that motion for sure.
Second? I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
I have pictures if you have questions.
You have any questions, Melita? All in favor of not extending Derek's contract, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We will not extend Derek's contract.
Madam Chair, before we move on to the next agenda item, does the board want to discuss related to this second the possible resolution about saying fees, any sort of breach of contract notice?
Thank you for that reminder. So I have discussed with Devin via email that we should file a breach of contract. Obviously, there are a number of things that could be filed on. First of all, it should have been filed when I was cited for criminal damage because he was overstepping his boundaries by not allowing the district to enter their own property. Devin, would you like to mention any other matters that would be added to the breach other than that one?
I think you've at least mentioned to me that some non-performance issues that you've asked him to complete that went sort of a while without being complete. Potentially there's something there.
I think we also need to look at all of the things that he needs to return, because in his contract, which I read again, actually read it a couple of times, they have to provide any and all information and documentation that they collected during their time as operations for the district. That means the 5 notebooks, the list that Alicia provided of materials that have been purchased. We need to be able to count everything and inventory the Connex, which, by the way, the Connex with thousands of dollars of equipment is left unlocked. I think there are a number of things. And so would you please explain what the process would entail for citing him for breach? What could we... There was a leak. By the way, he charged an additional $5,000. I thought it was $8,000 because the invoice looked like an $8,000, but it was $5,000 for a leak on Bertha. He didn't provide any information on it. The description of the leak was that his team of 4 at $85 an hour and a supervisor at I can't remember how much that they were there for 12 or 14 hours repairing the leak. And I know for a fact, because I was there, that a backhoe arrived at 4 in the afternoon, and from 7 or 8 until 4 in the afternoon, all they did was look for parts, sit on the tailgate of the truck, and walk around. The description that Derek provided was not accurate, so we paid him his base amount, but we withheld the $5,000 for that leak pending additional information. So, what can we expect from filing a claim of breach, Devin?
Sure. So, I guess again, where it would really start is sort of a comprehensive list. It sounds like something that Alicia is sort of working on of the issues that you've noticed with Derek. We would then take that to the contract review, determine which one of those constitute a breach of his obligations, and then we would issue a notice of breach letter, very similar to the one you guys received from AJC Solution, essentially laying out the issues, why it's a breach, and the requested cure. So that would be a letter to Derek. I think one of the things that I would want you guys to consider before authorizing us to go down that road is just what is the end goal. So if you can assert this breach of, but if it turns up tomorrow, you're not renewing him, and you don't plan on actually suing him, then there's not much the district is going to gain by sending this notice.
Well, to get the 5 books back and hold him accountable for all of these purchases that he made from different vendors.
Oh, sure, and we could do that separate from a breach notice.
And what would that be?
It doesn't have to. It would just be a demand letter. It wouldn't have to be a notice of breach.
So, what would a demand letter? What would the results of that? What would the outcome be there?
Well, it'd be something similar. Again, you if you're not willing to take it to conclusion or negotiate some sort of resolution, a letter is just a letter. And so the concept here, the result is whatever you make it. So we would send a letter that's, return the books, for example. Okay, let's just say that's all it said for now. If he didn't return the books anyway, you would be left with options of, okay, how should we proceed? And one is drop it, or 2, a lawsuit. Now that one's an easier issue because that's not his property, so he's taking district property, and he would have to return that. But again, and the invoices, right? If you haven't paid him for that, there's not really, you could make a demand for additional documentation before you paid that, but that's not necessarily a breach because again, you haven't paid that.
So, I'd like to hold this until the next meeting, and there we'll discuss why as we get to another item on the agenda. We have a lot of contracts. I have a lot of contract questions. So let's just table this until our next meeting. So now we get to E, discussion and possible action regarding operations RFP posting results. I have some. I just got it before I came to this meeting. The Prescott Courier issued an affidavit of publication swearing that we published in the newspaper aforesaid according to law on 27th day of March 2026 to the 10th day of April 2026, both inclusive and without change, interruption, or omission, amounting in all 3 insertions made on the following dates: March 27th, April 3rd, April 10th, 2026. So, I also posted the RFP on the Arizona Rural Water Association website, on the BCCWID website. I sent it to the program director at Gateway Community College's wastewater program, and he sent it to some of his former students, and the only response received was from Derek with the Arizona, whatever his company name is, Arizona Utility Operations. So we complied with all of the requirements. Actually, it was above and beyond, and it was far more than AJT Solutions did when he allegedly posted an RFP, which was sending it to two contractors that he knew and let a contractor that no longer worked for the district. And so, next he gets to F. Discussion and possible action regarding interview, evaluation, and possible hiring of Mark. I just call him Mark G, sort of like Kenny G. I have a hard time with that. I'll get it though, as site manager. And I provided everyone with a very limited list of Mark's skills, and I can't find it. And I can say this without a doubt. I've been talking to Mark for quite some time. Initially, it started with, "Hey, Mark, how would you like to do some leak repairs for the district?" And, but it's taken a number of months. He and his wife, Christine, talked about it, and we are so grateful and blessed and appreciative that he has offered to step up and fill the shoes of site manager. What that means is that, and that's another agenda item, we would have a operator of record who would be responsible for making sure that we comply with all of the regulatory requirements. They would visit the site periodically. Mark would discuss any concerns or questions, so there would be a very close working relationship that he would have with that operator of record. The operator of record does not have to be here 24 hours a day and have a certain number of days per week. This is not an uncommon situation. In fact, a lot of districts operate this way, and what we found was having a district manager who lived in another city, that was great conceptually, and we saw the benefit from that, but we also saw the negative outcomes when that person had no stake in the district, and we were just being overbilled. There was no day-to-day oversight, so that did not work well. So we definitely need somebody here working locally. And we have Alicia, who's going to be working very closely with Mark and the operator of record. So, Mark, you've seen the district, and you've walked all of the sites. Share with us what your vision is for coming, if the board decides to bring you on.
So obviously I was at that walk with Paul from Tierra Water Solutions with Elaine. I was actually there when the sheriff was there because Elaine called me. Yes, I'm the one who cut most of the locks upon request, and my understanding is we had access to our sites. Okay? Little did I know what it was going to turn into. But in a nutshell, I was very appalled at the way our well sites and our distribution sites have been maintained, taken care of. The fact that there's serious issues with the chlorine and the storage of the chemicals, that there are multiple leaks all over the sites. I was not at that meeting to specifically look at these sites. I was there because I've been asked to contract to just change out water meters. And the guy we were meeting, Paul, That's one thing he does. He also uses a software program that will be an agenda here that he recommends to us that I was interested in taking care of getting our town into that software. Basically digitizing the location of meters, what kind of meters they are, water lines, all that kind of stuff. Well, with the poor care for the sites, so say Paul, he was quite shocked. He understood why they did not want to let us on sites. In saying that, he basically looked at Elaine and I and said, I really would walk away from this unless Mark was here to take care of these sites for me. So the reality of it is I will be working under him, not for him. My contract would be with you guys, but he would be completely overseeing what I do, how I do it, and training me for water samples, so he doesn't have to be here regularly. He will have to come because we didn't want to hold the license. But I will be doing all that. In turn, I will be sitting for the test this year to get my level 1 distribution license to help this community. It's been a big decision for my wife and I because, I'm really changing for what I do. But the other thing is there's nobody doing it. There's nobody taking care of our water here. There's a lot of maintenance, just general maintenance needs to be done. To get our sites in compliance with ABCC. So I made the choice to step up and fill a role that we've had a terrible time trying to fill here, but I also have a stake in it. So I drink this water too, or at least it comes into my house. Let's put it that way. So, I would be on board with Paul to oversee me, or Tierra Water Solutions, I should say. One of his guys. Yeah. I could on system. So.
And if everybody in town who knows Mark knows that his work is of the highest quality. His methods are above reproach. He is thorough. He does have a lot of experience, and he is a general contractor. He's experienced in electrical services, electrical panels, running wires, installing lights, switches, boxes, plumbing services. He's familiar with plumbing, welding. He is just, there's nothing he can't really do. And we know that when he takes great pride in his work, his work ethics are above reproach. I would start a fan club. Maybe that might be because this is a work opportunity for the district to have someone of his caliber step up and say, I'm not a grade 3. I can't do that part, but I can do this. And I really think that we would be foolish to not.
Say one more thing. In thinking all this through, I've already generated a list, which I've talked to Elaine about, of stuff that I want to get done in this district in the first 30 days. So I am on board. I do want to get this stuff done. I do want to see it through, and I intend to. So if you guys vote on me, so.
He's ready to jump in, and I am ready for. I'm ready. This district is ready and needs somebody like him to jump in. So initially, he would have to start off with a temporary contract. I asked Natalie what the budget was for operations, and she didn't get back to me. I will tell you that WET was at $17,100 a month. They were going to go up to $17,500 a month. Derek, his average invoices are, do you remember, Alicia? Like 8,000 for, I'm sorry, for
Derek's monthly is $13,000 just to look at the meters.
Okay, so Derek was $13,000. So we're not going to vote on exactly what his salary would be, but I'm thinking in the range of $15,000 would be right there in the middle. It's a little more than Derek was making, and not as much as Bob.
To clarify, I want to provide more of a service than an in and out of towners like they did.
Exactly.
I actually want to maintain the sites. We got to keep the sites clear according to ADQ, out of the get the weeds out of there, and none of that's being done on the site.
And I think the other thing that we need to remember as well, and this is going to take a little more consideration, but Mark is totally capable of being able to repair leaks. Every contractor has limited their leak repair to 3 leaks a month, and if there were more than that, there would be an additional charge. And we can't expect Mark to do less. I mean, we need to, Mark.
But I do want to be there when the road leaks are repaired. I want to be there, to meet all the contractors on site, whether it's getting the service put in over at April Drive or it's replacing the VFDs at Oasis. I'm going to be there to open the sites, supervise what's going on, make sure it's getting done, make sure stuff's getting cleaned up and put away, just like we should be doing anyway.
Right, but I think the point I'm trying to make is that there are going to be additional fees that the district should pay you. For example, installing meters. And we need to have more of a discussion on that. Derek has installed very few meters in the entire time he's been here. He said contractually he was only obligated to replace 5 meters a month, but he hasn't even been doing that. So we need to decide. We need to define Mark's role and when he will get paid extra. And Alicia will be overseeing that to make sure there's no conflict of interest, because we don't want a situation where we want everything to be above board and transparent. And I know Mark wants it that way as well. So we'll put checks and balances in place so that when he does get paid additional money for work that's done on the district, it's well defined.
They will be estimates that are itemized so I can see what it is first.
I think at some point the board needs to vote on, for example, if we have if we have a job that's over $50,000, perhaps then we need to get 3 bids. But if we have emergency work, you don't get 3 bids. You get whoever you can to come out and repair it. And in some instances, that might be Mark. And if that's over his 3 repairs a month, then he should get paid for it.
We'll decide that on the fly. I'm not going to.
No, we're not going to decide things on the fly. We're going to have a contract, and this contract is not going to be like Derek's or Jerry's. We're done with those contracts. This one is going to be clear, concise, and everybody's going to know how things go.
I think it's important to figure out what that window, that ceiling is for the pricing for 3 bids before you write up the contract. Get that figured out between you guys so that you have a set.
Right now we're looking at just a temporary contract to get things going. Devin, do we need to decide on what his compensation should be today?
Yeah, I think you guys should try to hammer out as many terms as you can rather than sort of bringing Mark on in a kind of a very unclear capacity.
Okay, I agree. I'm going to say we need to know. So Paul is the owner of Sierra Water. He is coming on Thursday. Paul agreed to become the operator of record beginning tomorrow, so we don't have any lapse in operator of record. He's going to call ADEQ and talk to them about the email we got today regarding the chlorine and other testing that needs to be posted. But I posted, he sent a sample contract, and it looks like it's here, Schedule A, that the initial setup is $2,500, and total monthly charge for field operations is $900. Total monthly charge for management and admin is $600, and total monthly charge for services is $1,500. I think we would need to add all of those up, right? I don't have.
It's already added. 9 and 6 is 15.
I'm sorry, what?
Isn't it already added? The two bold one?
That initial setup looks like a one time.
The initial setup is $2,500, and the total monthly charge for services is $1,500, and with Mark at $15,000 a month, then that would be $16,500 is less than what we were paying WED. And there might be some additional charges with Tierra Management just to get through some of the issues that we have right now. But this would be his total monthly charge for services once that was done. So with Mark making $15,000 a month, Tierra Management $1,500, that's $16,500. That's right at what Derek was making and less than what WEP was charging. Does that make sense?
And then we could also have all this down here at the bottom for hourly wages.
So it looks.
And then down how we got in trouble with Jerry.
We got in trouble with Jerry because his contract was inadequate, and we need to make sure that this contract is adequate.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to pay $75 for 8 technicians for 7 hours.
Well,
because that's how we got in trouble last time, because we had all those extra hours at $85 a pop. So that's what my concern is.
right. However, remember that we caught Jerry's in time, and he now owes us over $10,000.
He does.
Yes. So
Go for it.
Gotta pay for that later.
now we have Alicia. I mean, I was monitoring Jerry's invoices, and there came a point where I knew that things were wrong, and so now we have Alicia to make sure that this doesn't happen. Okay? Yes, Mark.
My conversation with Paul, okay, the goal is to keep him in Tucson.
Right.
Okay, he doesn't want to come up here. He doesn't want to send anybody up here because the cost to do so would be so significant to us that he's like, it's not worth it. That's one of the things that he's heavily relying on me for, to be everything here for him.
And I'm hoping that Paul will appear at the next meeting telephonically. He will be here Thursday. If people want to come and meet him, please feel free to do so. But that's why we have Alicia. That's why we have a district coordinator, so that she can monitor all of these things. And trust me, she's got her thumb. She's got her thumb on it, and she will not let any of that slip by her. I have a lot of confidence in
She
her.
told me the other day couldn't be that picky, and I said, I guess I can. I want to know why and what for.
So we saw the mistakes made with Jerry and Derek, and we realized that we need to do business differently. We need to take a different approach to this, because what I keep hearing was, well, typically districts have a district manager, then they have an operations manager, and those two talk and the board just stays out of the way. Well, that's not how it's going to work here. We are going to have somebody, Alicia, watching and working with our site supervisor, and they are going to be working with the operation of record, and the board will expect reports and expect to be able to go to any well site and say, I want to see what this looks like now, and be welcomed in.
before and after pictures up for that review.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got plenty of those.
So I will entertain a motion if you agree. Everybody agrees that $15,000 is a reasonable monthly amount to pay.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely reasonable. I thought you said $16.50. Is that a?
No. Mark is this is
Mark is
for
15.
operation. This is for the operator of record.
That's for Paul.
That's for Paul.
Okay, yeah.
This is Mark.
So we would pay the $1,500 for Paul. $1,500 a month simply for him to have permission to come up here?
No.
There's a license.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes.
We would pay him $1,500 a month to be the operator of record, which is very reasonable. He is assuming all of the responsibility for the sampling, for the regulatory, for the compliance, for.
But you're going to be doing all the work.
Correct.
He's going to get qualified.
Yes.
He's getting qualified to be up to that. He's qualified
License right now, so.
Yeah.
He has the certifications. Without it, we can't do it. But if you look at all the
So then as soon
included,
as he gets certified, we can stop paying him.
if you look at all the included,
Yeah.
there's a lot in here, including they've actually
We didn't talk
got
about
billing in there.
As soon as he gets fully
Which
qualified,
would be interesting to see.
level,
Paul knows this is not a permanent full-time.
He doesn't want to work him out of his job up here. So,
It's just the issuance of monthly utility statements is included in Paul's service. You knew that, right?
I'm sorry, what?
It says issuance of monthly utility statements is included in the $600 a month charge. He's got a lot in here that's included. Customer payments deposited to bank and a set.
No. That might change because he knows he is not going to do billing or the meter changes or any of those things. He knows he is not going to do 2 through 9. That's going to be Mark.
Okay.
This was a sample. This was not.
Okay, because then all this will change a little bit because
Will change.
10 through 19 is really a lot of stuff that we do in the office.
right. So we could have that as a cap, and it'll probably get whittled down to what he actually does, right?
Yeah.
his company provides those services.
Well,
Right now, he knows he's not providing any of that.
Right, but it says included, so she's talking about the total being including the included parts that they won't be doing. That's all I was pointing out.
And he'll clarify that. We might have to have another meeting next week or after Paul comes when he gives us a definite price. But this was a sample that he sent. He wants to bring his engineer up on the board. They want to sample, take some samples, submit them. Mark did talk to Paul and read the letter we got from ADEQ, and Paul is ready to deal with it and said it can be taken care of. It can be resolved. It's not the end of the world because I was quite concerned when I saw that letter from ADEQ. There are going to be some unanswered questions, but
without the notebooks, there's not really any way to fill in some of those blanks.
I think the difference is this is a turning point, and I think everybody here has 100% confidence in Mark and the job that he will do, and that he will make sure that all of these things are corrected.
Well, then I make the motion for the 15.
Okay, second?
A second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Say aye. I'm sorry, Kevin, what?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, so we're setting the payment term. Is there any other terms we're setting? What are you paying $15,000 for?
His monthly services.
Meter reads.
Okay, so we will not go through all of that right now. That's much too rushed. Kevin, I already explained that this might have to have be a temporary contract or a contract where all of the additional information will be completed with X amount of time. And I thought that you were clear on that.
Well, again, we would just like to see you have some additional detail. That's all.
You have all of the additional detail right now. Again, I asked if we could put together a temporary contract. You said we should vote on the base pay. Do you have?
I don't have it with me.
So, Devin, you're an attorney, and I think it's your job to be able to help us figure out how we can do this and put all of the requirements or the expectations into a formal contract within a reasonable amount of time. But we cannot and will not halt district operations and not have somebody to oversee what's going on in the district because Derek's contract was a hot mess and Derek hasn't fulfilled the responsibilities of his contract. So,
right. And again, it was one, we didn't draft Derek's contract, and two, my proposal is not to halt you guys at all. I think you can proceed. I just want you to proceed with some detail. So, an expenditure of $15,000 a month, I think you would like to know what you're paying for. That's all.
You know what? And I'm confident that we will get what we're paying for. So right now the vote was that we agree to pay him the $15,000. Melina seconded. It's going to be a unanimous vote, and we can put that within 2 weeks we will have the details of Mark's contract, and Mark will agree to the details of the contract. And he has walked through. He is fully aware of what is required of him, and he's not only agreed to do that, but more.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I think, okay. I have no further comment. Again, the motion we discussed was, hiring him and then, preparing the contract later. So, yeah, I think that's
exactly right.
So, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Welcome aboard, Mark. And we will work out the details of your contract. And I know, without a doubt, we are not going to have a problem with the details of your contract at all. Okay. Ready to move on to the next one? So we have G, discussion and possible action regarding interview, evaluation, and possible hiring of Tierra Water Management as district operator of record. And we cannot discuss that right now because we don't have an exact amount of we don't know exactly what he's going to charge. We have a ballpark figure, which it fits within what we have been paying already. So essentially, what we pay Tierra and what we're paying Mark, that's going to total approximately what we were paying Wet. So that means that we are within our budget. However, I think the board can vote on allowing Tierra Water Management to become the operator of record until we can secure a permanent contract or another party, which
We have to stay in compliance.
we have to.
And nobody else has put in an RFP, right?
No one responded to the RFP except for
Derek.
And Paul agreed to take us through operator of record, and even if it was he decided for some reason on Thursday he wanted nothing to do with this, he would remain operator of record until we could find one.
I like Paul's professionalism. It's like a different grade of operator.
Oh, that's right.
He's good.
Alicia met him, as did Sean, and Mark, and myself. So he is not without, we've spent quite a bit of time with him. We spoke with him. We've met him at a Metron meter seminar. Then he came here and spent 4 or 5 hours walking the district. We spent a lot of time talking then.
I've spoken to him on the phone too, so.
Yeah.
And
the video conferences, so.
yeah. So I'm just going to make a motion that we accept Paul Jewell's offer to provide the operator of record, and that would be Tierra Water Management. He would provide the district operator of record until such time we agree to bring him on or we find another contractor. Devin, any qualms with that?
No, that sounds appropriate.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to allow Tierra Management to provide the district operator of record.
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. H, discussion and possible action regarding criminal damage citation. So, it was suggested that I get a criminal defense attorney. And my thought would be, well, I'm not paying for one. I'm not sure that I need one. I'm thinking perhaps having a consultation with one just to make sure. I don't know that. Thoughts?
You said you emailed the judge already?
With the receipts for the locks.
Okay. Devin, how quickly do judges usually get back to those type of emails?
Not quickly would be the short answer. I'm not sure if you'll hear anything before your hearing.
So
again, we were the ones who recommended that Elaine seek a criminal attorney because again, we don't represent you guys individually, and the citation is against Elaine personally. So again, I can't. It's hard for us to say too much about that.
See, that's where I was hoping that if there was a breach of contract, then I could go to court and say, not only do I have the receipts for the locks proving that we bought them and they were not his locks, but Derek has no right to keep the board the district off of our property.
If your contract that doesn't say that you can't go on your property, then he can't keep you from your property, can he, Devin? It doesn't even make sense in any logical world. And in addition, he's an employee here, or JP actually showed up here and then handed the phone out with a speaker on from Derek, who was yelling at Elaine, telling her that we couldn't go on those sites.
Well, and just to be clear, again, I know Elaine, you're aware of it, and I assume other board members are as well, but per Elaine's instructions, I spoke with Derek the night before the site visit and confirmed the purpose and the time, and he said JP would be there. So,
did you send a letter or an email notifying Elaine, or giving Elaine that information? Is it in writing somewhere?
Yes, after my call with Elaine, with Derek, I emailed Elaine, confirmed that his comments. Yeah.
So you have that too, and then you have a witness. I'll be happy to go and tell him what a jerk he is.
I just applied for a position at the Camp Verde jail.
Yeah. But you have Susan come. He almost run her into the floor.
So I think I'm just going to, just to be safe, I think we should perhaps vote in the event that a criminal attorney is needed, that I would be able to consult with one and that the district would pay for it. I don't anticipate it, but Devin, to be safe, should we vote?
Yes, and Madam Chair, I strongly recommend you, like with the others, add a cap to that.
$5,000? I don't know. How much is a criminal attorney?
For a consult will be, $500. I would say, certainly not thousands for a consult.
So, $500 is adequate for consults?
Again, I think 500 is maybe where it ends up being, so I would recommend a buffer of probably 750 is appropriate.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to allocate $750 for a consult with a criminal attorney in the event it is believed one might be needed.
Yes, of course.
Or Elaine Clayton in her personal capacity, just so the motion is clear.
It's in her personal capacity, but she was working on behalf of us. I mean, I feel like I honestly feel obligated as a community. It's great.
Yeah, again, I just mean for purpose of the motion, you're not approving attorney's fees for Elaine Clayton board chair. You're approving them for Elaine Clayton individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
John made the motion. A second.
Yep. More discussion.
Who seconded it? Can I second it?
What's the concern?
Moline is on the wall.
Okay, so what discussion then?
I think she should pay for her own lawyer.
Mark, Kevin, can I second the motion?
Elaine, I would recommend that you abstain.
Okay.
From this, obviously, it's a conflict of interest. So I would recommend if there's going to be additional discussion beyond factual background, I would recommend you abstain and, in fact, recuse yourself from the room.
So Melina does not want to vote.
Okay, so we're going to discuss. He's asking you to step on just for a second so she can do it.
Yeah, I'll cut the rest of it.
Okay.
Huh?
We just want you to elaborate to see what.
No, I'm not. These people do not need to pay for her doing that. No, I'm not voting for it. No way. No way. She's driving a great car when my friend has to have surgery. So, no.
Her insurance paid for that because she totaled her car.
What's that?
Her insurance paid for it because she totaled her car. That's how she ended up with it.
So your reason that you don't want her on this issue is because she got in a car accident with one of your friends?
No, this is totally separate from that. But, it's in addition to, it's both things. And that just
seems very personal. We're talking about this specific thing, a guy calling the cops on one of us, because we're here to help the community in the water capacity. They call the cops on her, and she gets a citation for getting people to help us with the water. That's all.
I don't know what all happened, okay? I don't know. All I know is she's arguing with police, and that ain't right. And I don't think that the water district should pay for her bad behavior with the policeman. So I just don't want to get you were there, right?
I was there. I actually was the one that called her to let her know that the police were there at Big John with JP. And they acted like good old boys together. They just laughing and talking, and he's taking pictures of things that we didn't even go through the gate that they took pictures of. I called Elaine, and she went and met with them. Now, in the interim, and this is going to be, you're going to be like, well, that doesn't even have anything to do this with that. Sue, one of the older customers here in Canyon City, was coming through the door last Friday. Derek was ticked off, and he almost knocked her down on the floor, walking out of the office. Now, JP shows up to let us into those wells. He even told Devin we could get in those wells. And he did it just so we'd all get together out there so he could say no. And so we cut the logs, but that's all we cut, but they weren't even his logs. So just like that, and coming into the office, reaching over the top of my desk to take notebooks that don't belong to them and never bringing them back. These guys are shysters. And if you don't want to back her because of whatever, it's going to make it really hard. It's like today, Derek came to the door, banging on the door. He's been told by Devin not to come to our office again because of the incident with Susan. He's banging on the door, wanting me to let him in. I said, no, you're not allowed in here anymore.
James Lawrence.
We've
And
not been given any instruction to give that notice to Derek. So we have not told Derek.
Okay, because I saw an email from Elaine. I thought you had told him not to come. However, he's already in the office in front of customers, said he wasn't doing any more meter readings. He wasn't doing any more work. He makes an ass out of himself in the office with customers, which is totally unprofessional. Regardless, I am not letting him in that office with me there alone. Because it would get ugly. Because he's not going to treat me the way he's treating other people. So,
before we get to any further discussion, just a reminder again, we are in public session. I would strongly recommend we levy no personal attacks or anything like that.
No. I don't even mean a personal attack, Devin. I just am not going to be mistreated or abused by someone. So if the situation came down to it and something happened to me at work because of someone like that, and the board didn't back me, I'd go after the board. Because I'm representing you. I'm doing the best I can. I'm being professional. And if nobody's got my back, what good am I here? I mean, what good is that? So I kind of think that's the way she kind of feels about it. Like she's doing her best. She's done her very best, as far as I can tell, to try to make these wells work and make them work well, and getting people in place to do it. And Derek's doing his very best to keep her from doing it. So that's just my take on it. And I'm no coach.
You're somebody.
Well, you know what I mean. I don't have no skin in the game. I live in Portage Junction. If your water doesn't work, God, it's going to be awful, trucking in water. But I do care about people. And I've learned to care about the customers I spoke with all day long this morning. So they deserve to have good wells and good water, and I should be able to go to his well site and open that gate at any time and make sure that he's doing what he said he's doing. If he's not, I'm going to come unglued. And those pictures, I took those pictures for your guys' sake. And if I can print them sometime and put them in a folder for you so you have record of it, that would be a good thing. But you're not being taken care of. And he didn't want you guys to know it. And that's why he's mad.
That's why he called the cops. So that she couldn't do it.
And he's just payback. That's all it is. It's payback.
I wasn't quite sure, but thank you.
You're welcome. I'll always be honest.
I didn't do it.
You're honest. Obviously, Devin's telling me to shut up.
I guess I'll second the motion.
Okay, so I made the motion, and Melina has seconded the motion. So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous, and we can move on. We can move on to the next thing. I'm gonna have Elaine come back in. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think Cindy wants to get her.
It passed. Elaine, it passed unanimous, so we can move on to the next section.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, discussion of possible action regarding purchasing the Zip utility software. I know that last year in August, I was over the moon because RCAC had their person come out and we did what is the name of that software, Mark? And I thought it was awesome. We went around and we took the little device and we stood in front of a meter and we could ping it, tag it.
And the water scoop?
No, that's different. And remember, weren't you the little GPS device and we went around to all of the meters and we marked it on that? This one is that on steroids. It is the most amazing software app I have seen. You can take pictures. Paul showed it to us at the Metron meter seminar. Mark, do you want to describe what it can do?
I still have to learn entirely, but just back up a second. I spent an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, with the original software you guys started with. With I don't remember his name right now. And he came out here and he got everything started, and then it literally stopped right there. Nothing had been done with any of that information he had collected. to say that ARC is to me an okay software, but it's built for somebody like APS on a broad scale. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down to our little town. Subsequently, Paul introduced us to Ziptility, which is geared for small town infrastructure. It's more user-friendly. You can add work orders to it. You can add pictures to it. You can click right on it. I spent an hour with them on the computer with them detailing it and showing me how to use it. But there's more to it than the time I spent with him. And Paul has been using it for years and has grown with the company and using it. And he would be our resource in using Ziptility. So it provides meter locations, you can add water lines, you can add valves, you can add everything to it. To me, in better detail than ARC did.
Does it keep history? So if you fix a leak at
once you add the information, you have the history. That if you click on that meter, you can see how many times it's been serviced. You can see photos, before and after photos of it. You'll know exactly when it was added. You can see as much information as you put in there, you'll get back out of it. So.
Does it run reports?
I think the only thing we can't really...
basically, it's creating a digital map of the town.
Much better than the other. And the RCAC one, what is it?
ARC or RCIS. So.
Our subscription, it was free. It ends in August. And so we would have to pay to renew it. But we have to wait on Ziptility because they did not get us a price. I didn't get a quote as to what it would cost us to purchase that app.
So in my session with the guy, I asked him what numbers were. So I can tell you what he told me. And because we know Paul will be, obviously this is because we know Paul and they work with Paul, we would get a discount because of Paul, and then we would get a discount for another reason. So I remember right, it was somewhere around $1,700 a year for the software.
Well,
somewhere in that range.
The other one would be about as much.
Yeah.
But we can't really move forward with that because I didn't get the price.
We get the meeting next week anyways, right?
And so then J is discussion and possible action regarding update on meter reading and billing issues. We went with that. Next is discussion on K, discussion and possible action regarding HAT Solutions public records request and district response. And I have to say, HAT Solutions, the records requests are bizarre, unfounded, ridiculous. What he's asking for just doesn't even make any sense. Devin, would you like to discuss the response that was sent to him?
Sure. So we sent an initial response to Jerry, which addressed, I believe, 10 of the 20 items that he had requested. If you give me a moment here, I can pull that up for us. There we go. And so, again, Elaine, have you shared the request with the board? Are they aware of the full scope of the request?
Are they aware of what?
The request.
The full scope of the request.
I sent out some emails. I don't know if I sent them all because we were flooded. I was flooded with emails from Jerry. It was just insane, the number of emails he sent.
Okay, well, I guess I'll back up a step then, and so again, Jerry, I believe, sent in total 4 separate requests. We coordinated with Jerry on a sort of a combined master list of requests, and that is 20 items long, like I mentioned. Some of what he's asking for doesn't exist or isn't a public record, or some along that same vein. A lot of his requests are public records, and so this initial response, while the district is gathering the remaining records, really addressed the things that you know, sort of the easy pickings, for lack of a better word. So things like providing the bookkeeper's report, you know, instructing him where to find minutes and agendas, and asking, you know, if he wants physical copies to let us know. Responding to his request for solicitation materials for roles that the district did no solicitation, things like that. And so we provided that initial response on April 9th. Again, that is half the records request. You know, the law requires a prompt response, and so as you know, we made clear to Elaine, and I'll make clear to you guys now, you know, that puts the burden on you guys to respond in a prompt manner. And so while we have done this initial response, the job is not done.
And this is my, I'm going to comment on that, Devin, and I've shared this with you, and I'm going to stand firm in this. Jerry's records requests. We have 2 part-time people in the office. We have a tremendous amount of work to do with those 2 part-time people. Requests would take hours and hours to complete. There is so much to go through that it's going to take some time for us to produce some of what he's looking for. And while the district isn't denying that the records are valid requests, what we're stating is the time that it will take to do it is overwhelming, and the district does not have the resources or the finances to do it. The other thing I will say is if we comply based on what you're expecting, it would suck the district dry in legal fees. This would cost, responding to all of Jerry's requests in the time frame that you want to do it, because you are an OML, you're a special district's attorney, and open meeting laws, records requests, that falls into your wheelhouse. If we don't comply in a time frame that suits Jerry, let him file a complaint with the AG's office. I know from experience, Tom's on the phone, we all know, by the time the AG's office even looks at a complaint, it will be more than a year. By the time anything is done, it can take up to 2 years. When I was filing complaints regarding records requests, your office simply responded, well, we've asked Dave Moore for it, we've asked the board for it, and they're just not responding. Nothing ever came of any of the records requests that were made. So while this is serious, while we need to pay attention to it, we are not going to spend an excess of resources that we do not have to get these records requests to him within the next 2 weeks. It could take 3 months or more before we can get to them.
Oh, lady stuff on you.
And some of it, exactly.
Well, is there stuff like we could say that due to not having the funds and the resources that we cannot get it in that time frame? Is there something that we can do?
Well, I've already said it, and I've already told Devin, and if that's not acceptable, I don't know what to tell him. We can only do what we can do.
Bring back the books, we might have some answers to some of it.
We sent him records for what we could, for what we had. We spent time doing that. Also, there is a fee for these records, a fee for the time in producing them, and the request was that he needed to pay those fees up front. Was that correct, Devin?
Yeah, that's correct, Jillian. And again, he asked for $100 to be the limit, so Natalie's time was already more than that, so the request was for the $100. If he wants the remaining records, yes, you indicated you'll expect a deposit given the amount. Again, I guess you should address the legal fees piece of that. Again, for most of our clients, we're not involved in these records requests, and so again, we're happy to just take the back seat here and just let you guys do what you want to do. Again, what we're doing is just making you aware of what the law requires, and that's a prompt response. So, again, I don't think you need to worry about incurring additional legal fees. If you don't instruct us to proceed and assist with the records, we won't work on it.
Perfect.
It really is that simple.
We will honor the records request, and we will get to it as soon as we can. but we can't say in 3 months, as I said before. We get to it as we can. We have 2 part-time office people. We already don't have enough time for district business, much less adding the degree of records that he's requesting. We don't even know if we have them. So do we need to vote on anything with that, or was that just a discussion?
I didn't hear anything that required a motion. I mean, the only thing that would be authority or
So
something.
I will make sure the office has a list of these requests. I will look at the requests myself, as there are some that need to come from me personally, and we will work on it as we have time to do that. And he needs to know that he will have to pay for those records, the fees for those records, up front. I will not waive the fees as he requested.
Correct, and that was communicated too.
Here owes us money.
So, the next one is L, discussion and possible action regarding consult with a contract attorney. I don't necessarily want to consult with a contract attorney, but I find it odd, no offense, Devin, that the district is required to get 3 quotes from contractors before they work at the district. And this seems to apply to everything except legal fees. We have a lot of contracts. We're going to have more contracts coming up. I don't know that Devin's law firm can handle all of that and the contracts. And we've had issues with the contracts. Trying to get Lisa Chandler's separation agreement, that never happened, and that took months. When looking at the contract for the office space we were going to lease, the contract scared the guy, and he didn't want to lease the building. Then we have the contract that we gave to Randy and Lisa at the plaza. He almost backed out because the contract was so overwhelming. We have Jerry's contract. Somehow he got more ownership of the district, it seemed, than the district. And Derry's contract added to that as well. It was like Derek had possession of the district more so than the district. So we really need to look at the contracts. And there have been a lot of lessons learned as a result of having contracts that did not suit the district. It didn't protect the district as much as we need them to. So I think it's just looking around to see if we need to consider other possibilities in our contracts. We want contracts that are thorough and fair, that protect the district, that are complete, and this is really important. I think we've learned the importance of a contract, the importance that a contract be specific and dots the I's and crosses the T's.
Okay.
And that has not been the case. So we can leave that and just say that I will talk to some contract attorneys and I will report back so that we can see if we think we need to. It's just like in medicine. There are specialists for every organ of the body. And in law, it's the same thing. There are some that specialize in contracts, some special districts, some injury. So I think we need to really look at this a little more closely with more awareness.
Okay.
Okay. Any public comments?
Just to add on to that, just to clarify your comment, Elaine, you guys can certainly go to an RFP for legal services. I don't know where the understanding is that you guys can't do that for some reason. You can 100% go to do an RFP just like you did for an operator for legal services.
Because with an RFP,
So
you can get, I think it's going to people that we appreciate knowing that that's possible. I don't think that's an option we want to consider right now. I think it's looking at maybe it's a consideration for another time. Any more comments, Devin?
No, again, I think the only thing I would add is again, if you guys are unhappy with our services, you feel free to go for an RFP for a new attorney. I think obviously it's disappointing to hear. We were involved in Derek's contract, so I'd like the board to at least acknowledge that one was not our doing. But no, I have no further comment beyond that.
I think we just need to be much more aware of the contracts, the turnaround time, and it's not that we don't think your services are valued. We appreciate you. We just sometimes you just need to make sure that the choices you're making are the best. That's all. No offense.
No hard feelings on my end.
Okay. Any comments from the public? We have 2 hours now.
I have some questions. It's not difficult, I don't think. I just don't.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Jerry, AJT Solutions, owe the district over $10,000.
Yes. For overbilling.
And issues like this you probably don't know this, be resolved like in not a small claims court, but some kind of lower court.
Devin, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it I don't know if it's in Jerry's contract, but I thought in Derek's contract, it was that if there was a disagreement between the district and the contractor, that mediation would be required and that we would have to abide by the mediator's decision?
Well, let me pull up to see exactly what his contract says for dispute resolution. Typically, it's a staged process. You start with mediation. If that doesn't work, you move on to sort of the next level. But let me see what's in there. Well, and I guess I'll just point out that this does not look like our typical provision. So I don't know if this came from Jerry. Again, this is Jerry's contract, but you have to submit it to non-binding mediation before initiating formal legal proceedings. So you would go to mediation and share the costs of that. You each pay your own attorney's fees to try to resolve the issue. If that fails, you then, assuming you wanted to proceed, you would go to binding arbitration under this contract.
So is that an option that we might want to look at?
Yeah, I mean, again, we sent the demand to Jerry. It went out on March 30th. It's been, at 2 weeks at this point. No response. I think your options are either sort of, let it die, or take it to the next level. But I guess to that end, I would note that I don't see an agenda item directly really on this point. And so I would recommend if there's further discussion that it be agendized for a subsequent meeting.
What about the $10,000 that he owes the district?
What about it?
How would we pursue having him pay that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So again, you'd go to mediation, and you would discuss, with the mediator, a former judge typically, and work through the issues. And you would say, Jerry would say, you guys owe me $26,000. You'd say, no, you owe us $10,000, and you would come to some resolution. Assuming that didn't work, you would file arbitration notice, and then you're in front of an arbitrator. Does something similar, except he gets to decide. But again, I would just note that I don't see an agenda item on this, so we should, any action or further discussion should be agendized for a subsequent meeting.
Okay, if you could please remind me at the next meeting of that topic so that we can discuss it and see if we got to move forward. And I'm so sorry, on Derek's, did we decide not to do a breach of contract? Do we Was that?
Yeah, the breach wouldn't address the things that are the money, the parts, the supplies, the breach wouldn't do.
And so what do we need to do to address those matters, Kevin?
If you want to proceed with some sort of notice against Derek, what I would say is, again, it sounds like Alicia's worked on this list. Send us a comprehensive list of your disputes with Derek. We'll then compare them to the contract and see what may rise to a breach. To the extent that there are breaches, you would have the option to issue a notice of breach. For the issues that aren't a breach but are still issues, you would issue a demand letter of some kind.
Okay. Are there consequences that can come from that demand letter, or is it just, a waste of time?
Well, again, it's just like the breach notice. It's really whatever the results are, what you make of it. So if you want to go down the path of, sending this letter, if he just ignores it, you would need to decide whether you're willing to go to court over it. Again, otherwise, you do pay us to draft that letter for nothing.
So if we were willing to go to court, we could do that in a justice court due to the amount, correct?
I'm not aware of any specific amount for Derek, but yes, if it's a small amount, you would address that in small claims court. But again, I would say that's subject to the dispute resolution provisions that we just discussed.
Right. Got that. Okay, we need to come back to it because honestly, it's pretty. There's a lot of these invoices and this equipment, this material just gone. It's anyhow. Sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
I had a follow-up question on that Jerry's, but I forgot it by now, so I'll just move on. I heard some talk at another meeting about a level 3 operator being required before our size of district is a level 3 higher than a level 1.
Yes.
So we would need to keep Tierra water until such time as you get level 3. Yes. How long would that take?
I think it varies. Level 1 is easy peasy, squeezy. You just, I looked at it and I think I could probably go take the test. And level 2, you're supposed to have a year. However, Paul and Gateway Community College and Arizona Rural Water, they have classes and things that Mark could participate in that would give him credit. And so those credits could get him into a grade 2 sooner. And the same, it might be the same with a 3. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you have to have that year between 2 and 3, or if there's a way you can.
I have to find out that.
And Paul's a 4.
The grade 2. The grade 2, you have to work a year as a grade 2 in order to qualify as the grade 3, and during grade 2.
Unless you have classes and some credits, and then maybe they'll take those as.
That's not what I read, but okay.
It
was a year.
That's what I thought.
I thought it was a year. It's a year work requirement with classes, not just. But I'm probably wrong.
Okay, I was just curious. Anyway, the amount that Paul is charging, I think, is minimal. You have to even worry about this. But that was I would just want to know. I mean, I've got questions all over my pages here. I can't even find them all. I want to know what the penalty is with the DEQ if we don't submit samples timely. Like they weren't submitted, they weren't timely. So what's the punishment?
What they're going to say now is that we had late recording, which will close them out, and then we have to put those violations on the 25-26 annual consumer confidence report. So they can be closed out. We just have to notify that they happened, and we have to, but no further action is required. If samples were missed or missing data is not uploaded, public notices will be required in addition to the CCR reporting, and the violations will remain open, potentially leading to formal enforcement escalation. However, and that's all they said, but they don't want that to happen. And we've already talked to Mark, talk to Paul, and these can be resolved. The awful thing is we paid for sample material, and they weren't doing it. So this again is a violation. There should be added to the breach of contract that these samples were not being taken.
What's Conex?
A Conex?
Shipping container. Shipping
container.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where the operator was storing all the chemicals, as you said.
It's material. It's all
Parts.
parts.
Is it all in one place?
Yes.
It's locked in a fence.
It is, but it's not locked up. So.
And we cut the locks and got in. Who, anybody
One small shipping container.
That's
So,
safety.
it's a big one.
You sure it's 40?
30 to 40, yeah.
It looks like mine, and mine's 53.
What's the
Yeah. Variable frequency drive.
I wanted a garage inside of my shop.
frequency drive valve. And if we didn't have an operator of record for a period of time, could the district be shut down by the county? Maybe you know.
I don't know that.
Devin, do you know?
Yes.
We could be shut down?
It wouldn't start there. That would be sort of a more last resort measure. It would start with civil penalties, is my understanding. But again, we haven't looked at that. So I'm sort of shooting from the cuff there.
It's not something we want to find out.
No, I know. I just don't know how serious it could be. It might have
Serious, you have to have an operator of record.
Eventually.
We don't even want to, we never want to be without an operator of record.
And could Alicia, say your name, could you file a restraining order against Eric for coming into the office?
If I need to, I certainly will.
Would that be something she would do in person?
I would go to mayor court, justice court, and I would apply for it right there.
On your own behalf or on behalf of the district?
Notice it on our own behalf.
That's probably on
Yeah,
my behalf.
people would have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would have to be named.
Yeah.
I think I'll stop asking so many questions now. Thank you.
Okay. That means that the meeting is adjourned at 3:24 p.m. Thank you very much, Devin. I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thanks very much, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Elaine. And thank you all, board, for your service to the community. I understand what a thankless and difficult task it is.
Thank you,
And
Tom.
so you're very much appreciated.
So will you.
And thank you, Alicia.
Take care. Okay, Tom?
Yes, I really appreciate you keeping me connected here. And also, if Sean's there, if I could speak to him for just a minute, I'm going to turn off the recorder too.